Now, I'm not sure what it's looking like where you are, but we've been warned all week that the first heavy snowfall was to hit the capital today. It has already started snowing in some areas. Let's cross to Wendy Hurrell, who's in Primrose Hill for us tonight. Looking wrapped up there, Wendy. Has it arrived? What are we expecting?
Well, up here on Primrose Hill, it's a really unpleasant mix of sleet, rain and wet snow. We slithered up the hill here. It's settled a little bit underfoot and on the grass here, and there's a perishing wind blowing right across London and the home counties. Similar sorts of pictures. Some are having fun. Lewis the dog in Barnet quite enjoying himself, and we've had pictures from Orpington and Epsom and Bromley, all very similar with some snow coming down, and it is in places starting to settle underfoot as well. It's not all fun though. I suspect some people are having none of that, and in fact it is also having some disruption to the transport system already. Heathrow has cancelled 6% of its flights, around 80 of them, to free up space in the schedule if there are delays because of the weather. Gatwick has cancelled 5 of its flights, and the advice there, as always, is to check before you travel.
And Wendy, aside from flights, what about the trains and roads?
Well, TfL says that they are well rehearsed when it comes to this kind of thing. The gritters are out this evening. TfL says they have enough grit to put it down on London's roads every single day for the next 5 months. I'm sure they and us are hoping that that is not necessary. They'll be gritting key areas like around bus stations to keep that network running, and there are de-icing trains out on the rails throughout this evening to keep that network running as well. But a lot of work to do, and not least on the outskirts of London.
On the Metropolitan line north of Rickmansworth and on the Central line north of Loughton, we're in some very exposed rural areas there. So we have to work doubly carefully there to make sure that we've got those areas covered. So all the de-icing trains are running and we're ready to go.
I'm not the only one that's had my nose pressed up against the window pane today, waiting for this rain to turn to snow. The weather watchers have been as well, and you can see some of the pictures that they have started to send in to the weather watchers site. Everything underfoot, basically, that you can see at the moment, this slush, this wetness, is going to turn to ice next. So that's the next thing to worry about, and Thomas Schaffenacker will be back with a forecast later to give you more on that.
He will indeed. Wendy, get back in the warmth. Thank you very much indeed for the latest there. Thank you. Now, we're sort of on snow watch this evening, so let's go back to Wendy Hurrell, who's on Primrose Hill, and you can give us the latest there, Wendy, because I'm hearing that things are developing elsewhere.
Yes, they quite possibly are, Riz. I mean, I think you just wanted to see me looking freezing at the top of Primrose Hill again. It is snowing up here. It's snowing right across London and the home counties as well. It is settling in places, even up here, even in central London. And while we've been up here, the wind has increased in strength. It really is bitter. I can't feel my legs at the moment. And across the home counties, I suspect there are going to be greater problems than there may be in central London, because the snow is going to settle in a few places. The other thing to mention, of course, is that everything wet underfoot at the moment is going to start to freeze. This snow and the cloud that we've got overhead right now will eventually clear, I think probably by about 8 o'clock, and you'll hear more from Thomas Schaffenacker about that in a minute. That's going to clear, and this is all going to freeze. So really treacherous driving conditions first thing tomorrow morning, especially on the roads that don't get any grit because they're the minor roads. However, TfL says they're keeping London moving. They've got the gritters out this evening. They've got tons and tons of grit, in fact enough to last us every day for 5 months, although we're hoping that's not the case, of course. And they have also got the de-icing trains out across the network to keep especially the bits of the route outside of London on the outskirts moving, because it's there, of course, that they might find that there are difficulties into tomorrow morning. It's also worth noting that when you head off to work tomorrow morning, as well as the ice, there's going to perhaps be a little bit more snowfall. So yes, we haven't got, you know, knee-deep snow across London, but this kind of weather is pretty unusual. I think the last time it settled in any great amount was around about the early 2013 mark, and there was just a flurry or two last year. So we're not used to this kind of thing. It is unusual. It might be fun for the kids to look at it sweeping in. It's not much fun up on the hill here at the moment, I can tell you, Riz.
Yeah, I'm sure. We feel awful that you're there. Wendy, thank you very much indeed.